William, thank you so much for joining me. Do you want to just introduce yourself and give us a bit of an overview of your background and how you came to start working in AI?
Sure. So my name is William Brendel. I live and work in LA for Snap Inc. I'm a senior scientist in the research team. And oh my gosh, how did I join the journey of AI? It's quite of a funny story, actually. I'll make it short. But I came 15 years ago as an exchange student, and I was really obsessed with computer graphics. I wanted to work for companies like Pixar, doing animation movies. And one of my buddies was in AI. And so I was like, sure, why not? So I asked two professors, one in graphics, one in AI. And the one in AI said, I would not make it. Because, I don't know, I was too stupid or whatever. So I went in doing computer graphics, but then my advisor didn't get tenure. So slowly I was doing computer vision, and I moved back towards the dark side of AI. And that's how I ended up doing AI for, I don't know, 15 years.
Okay, amazing. So do you have an academic background, or have you always worked in industry?
No, I have an academic background. I spent 7.5 years doing my PhD, and it was quite of a long journey, but I had the chance to explore fields like, all the way from computer graphics to image/video processing to computer vision to machine learning, reinforcement learning, and AI in general.
So then what drew you to move into industry after that time in academia?
I was a teaching assistant. I loved teaching, but I really hated grading papers. But I think reality is I also needed to work. I don't want to say something more practical, but when you have to deal with hundreds of millions of users, there's something very practical that you cannot find in the academic system, even though you have big data set and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There's this feedback, practical feedback you don't get. So
absolutely. So can you tell me a bit more about your current work, your team, and what your current goals are and what you're working on?
Sure. So the research team is kind of like the secret team among all the other secret teams at Snap. Our work, so most of our teams at Snap are focused on design and product and business, which means all those people have they have direct ties with feature release. And for us, we focus more on shipping a technology to those teams. And time to time, we ship directly product, but it's more rare. And the fields we cover are, computer graphics, computer vision, machine learning, natural language processing, HCI, security, human behavior, data mining, you name it. So we typically, when you, what I say to people in conferences, when you go to a conference like NIPS or CVPR or ECC or ICCV or whatever, we cover 95% of the talks that are there.
Okay, amazing. And with so many people using social media every day, there must be so many challenges that you're facing at Snap. Can you tell us about some of these?
Yeah, so there are challenges that are well known, like scalability and storage, but there are challenges that are very attached to social media that research scientists didn't really, I don't want to say foresee, but where the field it's much newer. And among those are data accessibility, security, privacy, pretty much. And it really evolves around the theme that for so long, social media were reckless with users, right? You would sign up, and literally when you would sign up on a social media, I'm not going to name drop, you would give away your privacy and your security, right? And for so long, the Bay Area and Wall Street believed that if you want to monetize social media, you need to have as many friends as possible. In the friend graph, it's maximizing the connecting edges, right? And the incentive is, if we can advertise you, we have for free access to all your friends. And so if you have 1 million of friends, ooh, that's great for advertisement. So they definitely targeted quantity, but what they forgot about is quality, right? It's the same concept behind productivity. You can work as many hours as you want. If you're not productive, I mean, nothing will be done, right? So you really need to take into account quality. And what we've been seeing at Snap is quite the opposite, meaning if your conversion rate is super high, you don't need that many friends, but the friends you need are your true friends, people that really trust you, people that you actually engage with, and not engage with as an influencer, but where it's kind of clear that they live like, I don't want to say a fake life, but
yeah,
not your typical life. But you want to connect really with people like you, people you can trust, people that have the same values. And when your friends buy something, your real friend buys something, it means so much more for you to buy the same thing, even to share the same experience. And that's always has been our message to the rest of the world, not only to advertisers, but also in terms of privacy and security.
Okay, brilliant. And what other industries can benefit from your research and the kind of work that you're currently exploring?
So it's directly tied to the challenges, right? Of course, you'll go to your typical AI conferences and they will tell you what state of the art is in terms of, I don't know, object recognition and processing new languages and etc. Okay, but really, so everybody is in the same business, right? When I advertise for Snap at the Snap booth, people always ask me, oh, why should I work for Snap? I used to say it's because our office is on the beach, but not anymore.
Still a good reason.
But it's a damn good reason. But I'll always start saying, you name it, Google, Facebook, Yahoo, Pinterest. I mean, you name all the big companies that Amazon, Apple, that are in the business, we all do the same research, okay? And it's very actually incremental. Time to time you see like mind-blowing, papers, but otherwise it's very incremental. So what I tell them is like, wherever you're gonna go, you're gonna do what you want and you're gonna have the same equal opportunity. Now, at Snap, from ground zero, we took privacy and security very, very seriously. No matter what we do, even before starting a project, we talk to the legal team. A matter of fact, the legal team is like sitting 10 yards away from my desk. They really made it easy for us to know what's evil or not evil. And starting from a legal perspective. And why it's important to start from a legal perspective? Well, because when you have laws like GDPR, like in Europe, popping up, or a big trial going after some companies, you don't want to be in a bad situation. And so, for example, my team and I published a paper at WWW early this year about how to build a system that would do friend recommendation in a complete privacy preserving way. And why it's important? It's important because, again, you go on social media, going on social media is like giving the red button for the atomic bomb to your mom. It is like suddenly you give massive technology of communication to the average Joe. And that person doesn't have a license to run it, right? So education is great, but it's really, right now it's really lacking in the, and so when people are not really well educated about how to behave on social media and what to be concerned about, the companies, they have to put their gatekeeper to begin with. And most of the time it goes against advertisement, user growth, etc. But what we've shown, and so coming back to the friend recommendation, something as naive as, you know, you go on a new platform and get recommended friends can be really a big infringement in your privacy. And I'm going to give you a quick example. Let's say you join a new platform, right, and you already have some friends on it. Well, you know those friends, but for social media, it's just a number, right, or an ID, like John 156, right? And you say, oh, John 156. Everybody can be John 156, right? But not every John 56 is like a friend with, I don't know, a famous politician and a porn star, right?
Yeah.
And matter of fact, I think it was a couple of years ago, some anonymous users got busted as political figures on social media,
Right, okay.
because they were able to be identified with their friends. And it goes beyond that. It's not only about knowing who you are, but some people, they don't want to know who are your friends, right? Especially if your friends are famous figures, and especially if they are controversial social figures, famous figures. So, but people didn't think about that. And so we put in place a nice mechanism so that you can try to brute force attacks to unveil people a friends list. It's not going to work. So we protect users. And that's just one tiny drop in the ocean of research we do. We have an entire team, privacy team of engineers and researchers dedicated to ensure security and privacy of our users. And really the whole set of companies can benefit from it. The industry and the academic system. And that's the reason why we published the paper, because originally we were like, oh no, we want to keep it for us. But then we realized, actually everybody can benefit from it.
Definitely, yeah.
And that's good education for even everyone to be aware that there's dangers the minute step in a social media system. Yeah, and that's just, again, like a drop of all the privacy and security challenges.
So at Snap, do you have like overarching policies for privacy and security, or do you review it on a case-by-case?
Both.
Okay.
And we have lawyers that are top-notch, up-to-date with the latest law in the world. We have customized system depending on the countries and region within countries. Like for example, in the US, there's two states that don't allow any biometrics technology on the phone, prohibited. And so every time you put like a nice little like puppy face, you know, on you, we do face detection, and this is considered as biometrics. So we need to work with those laws to make it legal and not infringing something as innocent as tongue. Yeah.
So kind of more generally, what do you think needs to be done by maybe other companies to help make sure that AI does stay secure and private? Do you think we need global policies, or is everything quite different and would make that challenging?
Global policies would be nice, but the problem is the way those laws are designed. They're designed not to be restrictive, but inclusive, which means most of the time they're phrased loosely and they go beyond their scope.
Okay.
And that's completely necessary. But on the other hand, doing case by case, it's not scalable. So I think it's a mix of policy and best practices. As of today, any level 1 engineer can have access to huge AI technology with no actually scientific background, thanks to companies like Facebook and Google with TensorFlow and you know, and so on, or Berkeley with Caffe, etc. And so Apple is already having a built-in library in the iOS. So what it means that everyone can start building an app with some cool AI embedded in it.
Yeah.
And I think that starting to have gatekeepers around all those open libraries, I think it would be a good start.
Yeah, definitely.
Because again, like you're excited about a new project, you want to do startup, you don't really care about privacy and security typically, and then
it's a challenge, yeah.
It can go wrong really quickly.
Definitely, definitely. So what's kind of next for you in your work?
Pushing the boundaries on part of the field that is underestimated, like privacy and security, but also I'm really interested in fully automated learning. And by that, I mean, for, I don't know, gosh, 20 years, we had human engineered features and algorithm, right? And then deep learning came and people thought it was the holy grail, because like, oh, you don't need to do all this human manual work. The architecture will learn it from you, for you. But then you take the same like community that was doing, feature engineering. Now they do architecture engineering. So literally they spend 6 months tuning their network, believing, oh, we don't have to do feature engineering anymore. I'm like, yeah, but you just shifted your energy towards something different, but it's still alchemy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
You read a lot of papers, and there's actually a lot of papers published that, to me, are very experimental, which is good, because people try new things. But the amount of people that work in learning from A to Z, not only the network, but the network architecture, it's a tiny community. And that's my personal guess, is because there's a big bias also in the industry. Right now, if you work in AI, it's a hot topic. So people want to spin off their startup. They want to be famous. They want to make money. And the best way to do it is to gain the extra 2% on accuracy on your result and claim that you're the best. But you don't necessarily solve the problem.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you push the boundary, but you didn't solve like fundamentals. And matter of fact, when you read papers, there's less and less theory, equations in papers. Back in the day, 10, 20 years ago, the community was all about proof. If you were going to come up with like an engineered system that would work, but it was hard to explain why it would work, it was really hard to buy for the community. David Lowe with Sift was a good example. He crafted an amazing technology, but people had a hard time to believe it was working because they had a hard time to justify with equations why it was working so well. Well, they did it after, but like 5 years after. So it took them a while. But nowadays, no. If it works on a data set, oh, you're good. Then people develop it, deploy it for hundreds of millions of users, and boom, it crashes. But they don't care, and I deeply care.
Yeah, of course.
And so when I deploy something, I want theoretical guarantees that it's not going to explode, because if I have those theoretical guarantees, then I can go back to engineering challenges and have some, bound in margin about how it's going to behave, right? But with no theoretical guarantees, it can go like really wild and pretty bad. And just in terms of privacy and security, if you infringe some of the aspect of users' data, in some countries, like countries in Europe, they can charge you up to $5,000 per user. So I'll let you do the math. $5,000 per user times 100 million of users. Even if your company is valued at, I don't know, 10 or 100 billion, you're going to sink your company.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so you don't want to do that. So there's, I always say, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah,
and I think the community is starting to realize it. More and more you have workshops talking about it. but we're still not quite there yet. So for me, yeah, that's also a domain I like to push. Yeah, learning architecture or fully unsupervised learning and privacy and security are my next challenges I'm working on.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for chatting to me today. Where can we keep up to date with you? Have you got Twitter or LinkedIn?
Actually, I'm not fully on social media. You know, there's a saying that, you know, the people in the field are the worst at, you know.
That's very true, yeah.
So yeah, I'm not fully on social media. But yeah, Gmail address works great.
Okay, brilliant.
Our working address. I believe you can find my info on LinkedIn as well, phone number, etc. So if people want to get in touch and collaborate, I'll be more than happy to contact with them. Snap is actually pretty open-minded with like broad collaboration. As a secretive, their teams are really, we love collaborating with we just this year we have like, I don't know, 30, 40 different collaboration across universities.
Amazing.
And we love also to talk to companies that are not necessarily in the social media space, but in different areas, because we all face the same challenges.
Definitely, yeah.
And so that's great that the community is very open-minded, publishing papers on the archive, and really seeing a lot of open source software. If we can have, in addition, the same effort trying to push the boundary in the field from a theoretical perspective and privacy and security perspective, that would be even better.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for chatting to me today.
Yes.
It's been really interesting.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.